Ah, Elwynn Forest. I have missed this place. A place of tranquil glades and verdant woodlands where many a young human hero's journey begins. I fondly remember strolling under its sun-dappled paths and along its meandering rivers, each step unveiling the forest's storied past. Join me, your guide and loremaster, as we wander its trails and discover its charming hamlets, where the tales of the landscape truly come to life. Originally, the homestead of Stormwind's hearty humans, the forests of Elwynn offer a peaceful reprieve with its rolling hills and sparkling rivers. Nestled in the very heart of the Eastern Kingdoms, this lush and vibrant sanctuary has endured through epochs of both peace and turmoil, revealing its secrets to those who wander its serene paths with open hearts and curious minds. Let me tell you of these days of yore, whispered still amongst the old oaks. Centuries ago, humans from the nascent kingdom of Stormwind populated the forest and its neighboring territories. Farmsteads began to dot the regions of the Redridge Mountains, Westfall, and the sister area to the south of Elwynn Forest, then known as Brightwood. Back then, many benign creatures, including a community of spiders, lived in unspoken accord with the land. When a grim curse fell over the lands of southern Elwynn Forest, the shadows of night lengthened, and these creatures mutated into monstrous forms, fleeing to the darkened realm now known as Duskwood. But dear adventurers, the forest's trials did not end there. In the wake of the First War, the region became a battleground as the orcs of the Horde poured through the dark portal and launched their initial invasion of Azeroth. The land was scarred, its beauty marred by the fires of war, and Stormwind City was besieged, its treasures looted. In the aftermath of the Second War, though, resilience proved the true spirit of Elwynn. The Kingdom of Stormwind was reclaimed by the Alliance, and the forest heartened once again, thriving under the care of those who returned to rebuild their shattered villages and livelihoods. Today, Elwynn Forest serves as the perfect starting point for new adventurers seeking to make a name for themselves in the world that lies ahead. Its lush landscapes, friendly villagers, and inviting atmosphere make it the ideal place to begin your journey. So come, wander the forest paths, explore the quaint towns, and uncover the secrets of this timeless land together. Here we are then, in the very heart of Elwynn Forest, the North Shire Valley. This pristine valley is home to the stately North Shire Abbey and its very own vineyards. Here, the priests and brothers not only seek spiritual enlightenment, but also actively engage in crafting their renowned wines, one joyful grape at a time. Take a moment to observe the young warriors, rogues, paladins, and mages making a name for themselves, and step inside Northshire Abbey, if you will. This grand edifice is a sanctuary and a school, where trainers prepare the various classes for the trials ahead. This valley, having cradled many fledgling heroes, now gently guides these novices into the expansive world of Azeroth. And do keep an eye out, dear friends, for Marshal Douglas McBride. He is the cornerstone of defense in the valley, commanding the Northshire Abbey garrison with a firm yet fair hand. His extensive military experience and deep understanding of both the threats and the terrain make him an indispensable leader in times of peace and conflict alike. But all is not quiet, I'm afraid. The guards under McBride's command, bless them, have their hands full. Deputy Willem has spotted an alarming increase in the number of wolves prowling upon these woods and its inhabitants. And that's not all. There are numerous reports coming in of troublesome kobolds skulking about Echo Ridge Mine, displacing the mine workers and disrupting the operations at the excavation site. And poor Millie Osworth. She's in quite a state, deeply troubled by the plight of her vineyard. Thugs and brigands of the Defias Brotherhood have overrun the fields just as the harvest was getting underway, forcing Millie and her workers to retreat from the farm and abandon their crates of grapes. Though she has sought assistance from the local guards, the threat still looms large. So, what say you? Shall we lend our efforts to aid the folk of Northshire, or perhaps set our sights on the broader adventures that Elwynn Forest has to offer? The choice, my bold companions, is yours to make. Leaving behind the stoic peace of the Northshire Abbey, we find ourselves drawn along a well-trodden path due south. In the distance, a village comes into view. Ah, Goldshire. Now, here's a place near and dear to my storyteller heart. This lively town pulses with an energy quite unlike any other, centered largely around the famed Lion's Pride Inn. Now, dear travelers, lend me your ears, for the tales of Goldshire are many and, occasionally, more spirited than you might expect. I recall, in my younger days, a certain vibrancy that filled the air of Goldshire. You heard that right. Even I, your learned lawmaster, was once not quite so staid. Back then, the Lion's Pride Inn often danced to a rather different tune after sundown. There, amidst the clinking of mugs, one could witness sights most intriguing. Why, the tables that hosted weary travellers sharing meals during the day supported the lively steps of Draenei, dressed in their scant essentials by night, free from the clutches of their armour. The upper chambers, I must confess, were rarely unoccupied and seldom used for a silent night's sleep, where adventurers explore interactions that the broad daylight of Azeroth not often witnesses. I recall one particularly brisk evening, the moon high and full, when I found myself locked in a game of wits and wine with a charismatic female night elf from across the Great Sea, which almost led to, well, let's just say some stories are better kept under wraps. Ahem. But let us not dwell too long on the frolics of youth and folly. Goldshire, for all its nighttime escapades, serves as a crucial crossroad for many an explorer seeking adventure or companionship in a more traditional sense. It boasts various class trainers and some profession trainers, including a blacksmith, and attracts merchants from all corners of the kingdom. The village remains abuzz with duels, lively banter, and the constant coming and going of those both new to Azeroth and seasoned veterans alike. Amid this vibrant activity, Marshal Dugan vigilantly oversees the security of Goldshire and its surroundings. Deeply concerned about the Murlocs to the south and east and the Gnolls to the west, he commands the military forces stationed here and actively recruits adventurers to assess and curb these threats. With a cheeky smile and a knowing glance, I bid you explore wisely and perhaps with a bit of caution. For in Goldshire, as in all things, one finds exactly what one seeks. But remember to indulge in moderation. As we venture deeper into the heart of Elwynn Forest, a familiar drama unfolds that could very well remind one of Shakespeare's own tales. Right here, among the verdant trees and whispering winds, we find the Stonefield Farm and McClure vineyards, embroiled in a rivalry as bitter as any family feud. Both families, you see, are staunchly opposed to one another, each holding fast to old grudges. The flames of this quarrel have been recently fanned by a new incident. Young Billy McClure is accused by Auntie Bernice Stonefield of stealing her cherished necklace, an old keepsake from her late husband. This accusation has only deepened the discord between the two households. But amidst this bitterness, a spark of love has ignited between Maybelle McClure and Tommy Joe Stonefield, promising a hint of reconciliation. Young Maybelle, a true Juliet, is employing a bit of cunning to see her beloved Romeo of sorts. With the help of Grandma Stonefield and the alchemist William Pessel, she procures an invisibility liquor. This potion allows her to slip away from the watchful eyes of Pa McClure to steal moments with her Tommy Joe. Oh, what lengths we go for love. Tommy Joe, for his part, waits by the river that runs near his family's farm, ever hopeful to catch a glimpse of his sweet Maybelle. What role might we play in this pastoral drama, you ask? Well, there are quests aplenty, from aiding these star-crossed lovers to navigating the precarious truce that might one day unite these feuding families. So, do we fancy ourselves peacemakers in this rustic romance, or shall we simply watch as observers of this most human drama? The choice, as always, is entirely yours. But do tread lightly, for the course of true love never did run smooth, especially not in the enchanting woods of Elwynn. As we leave behind the farmsteads and venture westward, our path leads us to the Westbrook Garrison. Situated on the very fringe of Elwynn Forest, near the border with the troubled lands of Westfall, this garrison stands as a line of defense against the shadows of unrest. Here, the Stormwind Guard, stalwart and ever vigilant, faces off against a surge of challenges. Now, dear adventurers, follow along to this bastion amidst the trees, where Deputy Rayner, a notable figure within the Stormwind Army, commands the post with a keen eye. With the bulk of the Stormwind Army stretched thin across distant fronts, Westbrook finds itself grappling with perilously thin ranks. The infamous Riverpaw pack, led by none other than the notorious Hogger, the so-called Gnoll King, has been stirring up trouble in the forest's edge. This Gnoll chieftain, perched atop his hill in southwestern Elwynn, has become something of a legend, a formidable foe who has eluded capture time and again. Defeating him, my friends, has become a veritable rite of passage for Alliance travelers of all ranks and ages. The Riverpaw pack, empowered by a shadowy alliance that has recently established a foothold in Westfall, now raids farms and villages with newfound weapons and tactical acumen, leaving fear in their wake. It's a curious affair. Gnolls are typically not known for their intellect or organization. One can't help but wonder what or who could be orchestrating such an upturn in the normally dim-witted Gnoll tactics and capabilities. Now is the time to act, valiant souls, for your help is crucial. Will you join the ranks of Westbrook Garrison and take on Hogger, the Gnoll King, and his marauding tribe? Or perhaps you're inclined to uncover who might be pulling the strings from behind a veil of power. Arm yourselves, gather your allies, and step into the shadows of the forest's edge. What lies ahead is unknown, and only your courage can illuminate the truths hidden in the darkness. Follow along now, quickly. Let's be on our way once more, shall we? And do mind those pesky kobolds at the Fargo Deep Mine, in particular the one called Goldtooth. "You no take candle," is his rallying cry. Quite the amusing chap, really, all things considered. As we jaunt further to the southeast of Elwynn Forest, we come upon the Brackwell Pumpkin Patch, a locale that's taken a turn for the dramatic, I must say. Once the peaceful domain of the Brackwell family, this charming farm has since fallen under the control of the Defias Brotherhood. These bandits have scattered themselves willy-nilly about the buildings and the very pumpkin patch itself, up to all sorts of no good. It remains a bit of a puzzle whether the Brackwells were chased away or worse after the Defias claimed this land as their own. Now, however, amidst the chaos and pumpkins resides a rather hefty figure by the name of Princess, a prize-winning pig of considerable repute and, let me tell you, appetite. Flanked by her steadfast boars and with no boundaries to contain her, this burly sow freely roams the woods of Elwynn. helping herself to the crops at both the Stonefield Farm and McClure Vineyards. Quite the mischievous maven of agriculture, our princess. By the by, if you find yourself with a bit of an adventurous spirit, there's a task at hand involving this porcine princess. The valued boar, adorned with a brass collar for her first-place triumphs, has become the target of a peculiar quest. The task, you ask? A rather grim affair. Princess must be dispatched and her collar retrieved as proof of the deed. Should you choose to undertake this, return the collar to Ma Stonefield at the Stonefield Farm. There's a bit of something in it for your time, a token of appreciation, if you will. So, fancy a bit of a challenge at the Brackwell Pumpkin Patch. It's not every day one gets to duel with a prize-winning pig, after all. Just remember, keep your wits about you. Bandits and boars make for a rather unpredictable outing. As we stroll further into the heartland of Elwynn Forest, let us turn our attention to the Tower of Azeroth, a picturesque mage tower that's quite the hub of mystical activity. Managed by an industrious group of gnomes, the tower doubles as both the living quarters and scholarly domain of the venerable Archmage Theocritus, a figure of considerable magical prowess and insight. Although recently, it's not all quiet study and peaceful incantations at the Tower of Azeroth, mind you. There's a bit of a tiff, one might say, with the Tower of Ilgalar in the Redridge Mountains. The counterpart over yonder is none other than the dastardly lair of Morganth, an evil sorcerer with ambitions that clash quite spectacularly with those of Theocritus. The two magical edifices are embroiled in a constant duel of wits and spells, each employing magical espionage to outmaneuver the other. Perched at the very top of the Tower of Theocritus, one finds the Eye of Azeroth, a magical artifact not to be taken lightly. This scrying sphere allows any who dare touch it to spy upon the Tower of Ilgalar, revealing not just the building itself, but its surroundings too. Quite the handy tool for keeping tabs on one's rivals, I'd say. What role might you play in this high-stakes game of magical espionage, Will you align with the clever Theocritus and his gnome servants to thwart the nefarious wizard of Redridge? Or perhaps you'll find yourself drawn into the larger mystery of the powers at play between these two towers. Either way, choose carefully, for in the world of magecraft, every move you make could have far-reaching consequences. Let us continue our journey through the enchanting expanse of Elwynn Forest, where our path now takes us toward the serene yet increasingly troubled waters of Stone Cairn Lake. This seemingly peaceful locale, situated in the northeastern parts of Elwynn, is not just a feast for the eyes, but a site of deep historical significance. On an island in the lake's center lies Heroes' Vigil, a revered site marked distinctly by the Stone of Remembrance. This monument is dedicated to all those who fell protecting Stormwind during the tumultuous times of the First War. Here, amid a ring of ancient stones, we honor every soul that endured the horrors unleashed by the Orc sacking of Goldshire and the surrounding areas. The once solemn pilgrimage site has been claimed by rogue wizards who've made the central island their stronghold, and a tribe of murlocs has established itself along the southern banks. These aquatic beings, notorious for their aggressive behavior, have constructed crude dwellings, attacking those who seek to explore this corner of the forest and posing a significant threat to the region. Now, brace yourselves for a bit of a sticky wicket, as Remy, 2 times, from Goldshire would have it. He's rather concerned about these murlocs in eastern Elwynn and has implored us to seek out Guard Thomas, stationed near a bridge west of the Eastvale logging camp, for a detailed report. Upon finding Guard Thomas, the plot, as they say, thickens. He's been awaiting news from 2 of his scouts, Rolf and Malachi, sent to assess the Murloc situation. Unfortunately, what we discover upriver is rather grim. The human remains of Footman Malachi Stone, with a medallion still clinging to the neck of his half-eaten corpse. Further search along the lake reveals more dire news. The carcass of Footman Rolf Hartford lies between two Murloc huts, his fate clearly sealed. With medallions in hand, we return to a somber Thomas, who confirms our worst fears. The Murloc menace is indeed growing, and their danger cannot be overlooked any longer. He tasks us with conveying this urgent report back to Marshal Dugan. In this unfolding tale, as the Murlocs press their advantage and the rogue wizards cast their spells of shadow over Stone Cairn Lake, the question looms: how will the valiant defenders of Elwynn muster the strength to reclaim peace? Dear adventurers, the call to arms echoes through the forest. Will you be the one to answer it? As we mosey further through these woods, we find ourselves at a clearing in the far east of Elwynn Forest, home to the area's harvesting operations of the Eastvale logging camp, situated near the Redridge Mountains. Here, amidst the sounds of axes and saws, the lumber orders are bountiful, keeping the robust lumberjacks on their toes as they face tight deadlines. However, the local wildlife, including wolves and bears, has turned into a considerable menace, causing significant delays and putting the hard-working loggers at risk. In the quieter confines of the camp lurks James Clark, a figure cloaked in notoriety. This man, a fugitive known for his criminal deeds, including robbery, burglary, arson, and murder, is rumored to be hiding in one of the camp's residences. Those brave or curious enough to approach him uncover a tangled web of secrets extending far beyond petty theft or isolated crimes, but also his collaboration with a mysterious figure known only as the Collector. As it turns out, Clark is intricately linked to a broader conspiracy, holding critical information that challenges the safety and stability of the region and reaches deep into the resources and operations of Elwynn Forest. Engaging with James offers more than just answers. It draws one deeper into a network of intrigue that could potentially unravel connections to a powerful organization that has established a firm foothold in the lands of Westfall. Should you decide to take this information to Marshal Patterson at Eastvale, you'd be diving into a rabbit hole that could unravel a plot reaching into the forgotten corners of the Stonemasons Guild. Why, the very same guild once led by the infamous Edwin Van Cleef of the Defias Brotherhood. So, what will it be then? Will you confront James Clark and his collaborators, hoping to put an end to this skullduggery? Your path is yours to choose, and the people of Eastvale await your decision with bated breath. Ah, we've finally made it, haven't we? Goodness me, it's quite the climb, but the view, it's amazing. After a splendid journey through the storied groves of Elwynn, here we stand at the tranquil vista of Thunder Falls. This cozy refuge, hidden away from the world, is the perfect spot to catch one's breath and muse upon the tales we've shared. Let us pause a moment to drink in the scenery below. And thus, my dear companions, our journey through the woods of Elwynn Forest now gently winds to an end. Together, we've trodden its leafy lanes, inhaled the scent of its age-old trees, and relished the serenity found in its secluded nooks. It has been my privilege as the lore-master of this forest to have accompanied you through its history and to have guided you along its verdant paths. Let the tales and truths we've uncovered inspire and invigorate your own adventures to come. Remember, each forest holds its secrets close, ready to reveal its stories to those courageous enough to discover them. As you venture forth from this land of enchantment, I bid you a fond farewell. And should the roads lead you back to Elwynn, the region's timeless woods and murmuring brooks will greet you with warmest regards.